Chapter 1. A Brotherhood's Beginning. The sun blazed over the vast Senegalese savannah, casting golden light across the tall, swaying grass. In the heart of a village surrounded by baobab trees, two young boys, Bala and Musa, wrestled playfully. Their laughter echoed through the open space, blending with the sounds of drums from distant huts. The village was alive with activity, women tending to the crops, men crafting tools, and children darting between the huts made of clay and thatched roofs. Bala, the older of the two, pinned Musa to the ground, grinning down at his brother. "You're getting slow, Musa," Musa squirmed, his face ablaze with frustration. "One day, Bala, I'll be stronger than you." Chief Diarra, the village elder, stood at a distance watching his sons. His face, lined with age and wisdom, softened as he saw them play. His deep, golden robes billowed gently in the breeze, and his staff, a symbol of his authority, stood tall beside him. As Bala helped Musa to his feet, Diarra approached, resting a hand on each of their shoulders. "My sons, the strength of a man lies not only in his arms, but in his heart. Bala, as the older, it is your duty to protect your brother. And you, Musa, must learn patience." Both brothers nodded, though Musa's eyes drifted toward the vast horizon, his mind already swirling with thoughts of glory and power. Chapter 2. Love and ambition. Years passed, and the brothers grew into men. Bala became the village warrior, known for his courage, strength, and loyalty. He had earned the respect of the entire tribe and was seen as the future leader. Musa, though skilled, often remained in his brother's shadow, his ambitions growing larger with each passing year. One day, a grand feast was held to celebrate the tribe's unity, and Fatou, the daughter of village herbalist, was everybody's bright star. Fatou, with her dark, almond-shaped eyes and radiant smile, wore a bright yellow bubu embroidered with golden threads, and around her neck hung a pendant carved from the sacred baobab tree. Every man in the village admired her, but it was Bala who had captured her heart. As the village gathered under the moonlit sky, Bala stood beside Fatou, his arm protectively around her. Musa watched from a distance, jealousy gnawing at his insides. His fingers clenched into fists, unseen by the others. That night, after the feast, Musa approached Chief Diarra, who was sitting by the fire, contemplating the future of his people. Musa's voice was calm but laced with a hidden edge. "Father, have you thought about the future? About who will lead us?" Diarra's eyes, wise and perceptive, flicked up to meet his son's. "The future has already been decided, Musa. Bala is the rightful leader of this village. He is strong, honorable, and Fatou has chosen him. Your place will be to stand by his side, supporting him as his brother." Musa's heart sank. The word stung. To live forever in his brother's shadow was not what he had envisioned for himself. And in that moment, something dark took root in his soul. A seed of ambition that would change everything. Chapter 3. The betrayal. Musa's envy festered, poisoning every thought. Over the months that followed, he became increasingly distant from his family and the village. He spent his time in secret meetings with the leaders of a rival tribe, crafting a plan that would change the course of his life and the lives of everyone around him. One night, as the village slept, Musa led the rival tribe to attack. Their torches lit the sky with flames, and their war cries pierced the silence. Bala, armed only with a spear, rushed to defend his people, but he was ambushed and outnumbered. By the time dawn broke, the village was left in chaos, and Musa had done the unthinkable. He framed Bala for the attack. The village gathered, shaken and fearful, as Musa stood before Chief Diarra, pointing at his brother. Bala has betrayed us. He conspired with the enemy, and now we have lost many of our people because of his treachery. Bala, bloodied and exhausted, stood tall, his eyes blazing with fury. You know me, father. I would never betray my people. But the evidence, twisted by Musa's lies, was too strong. Reluctantly, Chief Diarra spoke, his voice heavy with sorrow. Bala, you are my son, but your actions have led us to this moment. I have no choice but to exile you. As Bala was led away from the village, he turned to Musa, his voice low and dangerous. One day I will return, and when I do, I will clear my name. This I swear by the blood of our ancestors. Musa only smiled, watching as his brother disappeared into the horizon. Chapter 4. Years of Silence. In the years that followed, the village of Chief Diarra fell into decline. Under Musa's leadership, the once thriving community became oppressed. The people no longer celebrated under the stars, and the drumbeats that once filled the air had gone silent. Musa ruled with an iron fist, his cruelty growing with every passing day. Meanwhile, Fatu had given birth to Samba, Bala's son. She raised him in secret, away from Musa's watchful eye, telling him stories of his father's bravery and honor. She often sat with Samba by the fire, their small hut filled with the smell of burning herbs, as she whispered to him of Bala's blood oath. Your father will return one day, she would say, her eyes distant. He swore it upon the blood of our ancestors, and he is a man of honor. Samba, now a boy of 10, listened intently, his heart swelling with pride and hope. He had never met his father, but he carried Bala's spirit within him, a fierce determination to see justice done. Chapter 5. The griot returns. The day of reckoning arrived unexpectedly. The village was gathered for a sacred tribal ceremony, a rare event meant to honor the ancestors and seek their guidance. Musa, now a man filled with pride and paranoia, had grown increasingly anxious. He knew the blood oath that Bala had sworn, and though he had tried to forget, the weight of his brother's words haunted him. As the villagers assembled in the center of the village, a griot, a storyteller, arrived, draped in a large flowing cloak, his face hidden beneath a veil. The griot carried a kora and began to sing the story of a village torn apart by betrayal. His voice was strong and clear, captivating the crowd. Fatu, sitting with Samba at the edge of the assembly, recognized the voice at once. Her heart raced and her hands trembled. It was Bala. As the griot's song reached its crescendo, he threw back his veil, revealing his identity. Gasps filled the air. Bala had returned. Musa rose to his feet, his eyes wide with fear and anger. You dare return here after everything? Bala stepped forward, his voice calm but resolute. I have come to claim what is mine, to restore my honor and the honor of our people. The blood oath is upon me, Musa, and now the truth will be known. Chapter 6. The blood oath fulfilled. The village clearing was tense. Elders in deep purple and white robes sat with grave faces, while villagers gathered, their expressions flickering in the torchlight. The steady beat of sacred drums had stopped, leaving only the crackling of the fire and the whispers of the wind. Bala stood tall, his face worn from years of exile. He had returned not as a defeated man, but as a warrior. His simple, battle-worn clothes bore the marks of hardship. In his hand, he held a spear, a symbol of truth. Across the clearing stood Musa, now the self-proclaimed chief, dressed in lavish robes adorned with gold. His sword gleamed in the firelight, reflecting the power he had stolen. But beneath the grandeur, fear flickered in his eyes. Bala's voice cut through the still air, calm but resolute. You've ruled through fear and lies, Musa. Today, that ends. Musa sneered, his lips curling in anger. You never understood what it takes to lead, Bala, he spat. I saved this village from your weakness. Bala's grip tightened on his spear. Saved. His tone sharpened. You betrayed us, made deals with our enemies, and framed me for power. And you call that saving? The villagers stirred uneasily, murmuring in agreement as the cracks in Musa's lies began to show. Musa's face twisted with rage as he raised his sword. You don't understand. I had to take what was mine. You were always father's favorite, always chosen. The brothers charged at each other, weapons clashing with a sharp metallic ring that echoed through the village. Sparks flew, illuminating the faces of the villagers. They fought not just for dominance, but for the truth. Bala's strikes were measured, each blow filled with purpose from years of exile. Musa, by contrast, fought wildly, as if sensing his grip on power slipping away. You allied with the rival tribe, Bala growled, their weapons clashing again. You betrayed our people, not me. Musa's eyes flashed with guilt. No one saw me, he snapped, swinging his sword. No one can prove it. Bala deflected the blow easily. The truth doesn't need proof. It reveals itself. With a swift movement, Bala swept his spear low, knocking Musa to the ground. The village held its breath. At the edge of the clearing, Fatu stood frozen, her heart sorrowful. Beside her, Samba clutched the pendant that used to belong to Bala, watching in awe as his father faced his uncle. Musa struggled to rise, lunging at Bala, but Bala was quicker. With a fluid motion, he disarmed Musa, sending the sword flying. Musa collapsed, panting, the weight of his guilt crushing him. Bala stood over him, his spear raised. The village waited in silence. This was the moment Bala had sworn to return for. The moment to clear his name and restore his honor. But he didn't strike. Slowly, Bala lowered his spear. I will not shed my brother's blood, he said, his voice calm but filled with emotion. I came for justice, not revenge. Musa stared up at him, stunned. Why? He croaked. Why spare me? Bala knelt beside him, his gaze firm but soft. Because redemption is more powerful than revenge. Killing you won't heal the village or undo the pain. It would only continue the cycle of hatred. Musa's lip trembled, tears welling in his eyes. His ambition had led him to betray not just his brother, but his people. Stripped of his lies, he had nothing left. The village murmured softly, tension breaking into relief. Fatu stepped forward, her face streaked with tears, and knelt beside Musa, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. You lost your way, she said quietly, but that doesn't mean you can't find it again. Musa hung his head. I don't deserve your forgiveness, he whispered. Forgiveness isn't earned, Bala said, rising. It's given. The villagers, once divided by Musa's lies, began to murmur in support of Bala. Chief Diarra, though frail, stood with pride. You've shown true leadership, Bala, he said. Not through strength, but wisdom. Bala bowed his head. I only hope we can heal. Musa, still on his knees, looked up, his voice shaky. I don't know if I can ever make amends. Then spend your days trying, Bala said gently. That's how redemption begins. Bala offered his hand. Musa hesitated, then took it, allowing his brother to pull him to his feet. The villagers watched as the two stood together. No longer enemies, though not yet reconciled. It was a beginning. As Fatu and Samba joined them, the drums, silent for so long, began to beat once more. A rhythm of healing, of unity, and a village finding its way forward.